ya, boy. Good morning. Let's go. Good morning. Welcome to FX Boot Camps and Forex.Today and YouTube and Facebook and Twitch and, well, the first day of the rest of your life. Let me remind you that trading is risky, not appropriate for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results. Please stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. Good morning. How are you? Welcome to my office. Today we're going to talk technical and fundamental analysis with the overall goal of helping you put together trade plans. So please ask questions, get involved, because Forex.Today is a community of 15,622, I think, subscribers. So imagine this. You can take advantage of this community in a way that can benefit everyone. First of all, you participate, you ask good questions, and then I would suggest that you take notes, write them down, and then when the recording of this webinar is up on YouTube, you document those notes in the comments section below the video so that you can search it in the back office of YouTube or Twitch or Facebook and be able to find this video and say, you'd be able to bring it back up from the archives. So you know the specific videos where you learn specific things, and then even put the timestamps like Daniel does. So anyways, epic, awesome, cool. So participate, ask good questions, take notes, treat each other with respect. Spammers, we're not interested. What else? Check the negativity at the door. Stay focused. Don't give up. If you're struggling through tough times, the worst thing that could ever happen is that you give up. And I think we've all been there before where we've all stared into the abyss and decided whether we've reached the end. For some reason, that's just part of the human experience. We need that through the learning process. So if you ever get into that situation, don't give up. And that's another reason to have a good community of like-minded people, as we are. You don't want to try to do this alone. So anyways, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for leaving comments. If you're the thumbs down people, I think 3. If you're one of the 3 thumbs down people, thumb it down and then leave a comment and say, this is why I think learning about monetary policy sucks. This is why I think learning about relative strength exercises to pair strong currencies with weak currencies sucks. This is why I think fundamental analysis and macroeconomics, this is why I think it sucks. Like, if you're going to be the thumbs down person, have the strength to actually document why. Maybe I'll improve. There are quite a few people here that have given me, let's say, honest feedback, and I think most of them will tell you that I do my best to improve and adjust. Cool. So anyways, thank you for being here. I'd also like to thank TradersWay.com for being the sponsor of our community. They're a broker. You're a foreign exchange trader, right? They've set the table. They've lit the candles. Blip, 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 blip. They're pouring the wine. Sit down. Let's develop a relationship. Why would they want to do that? Well, look, they've built this infrastructure to offer a service to foreign exchange traders that executes trades into the interbanking system, putting up that huge investment together to have, and then not have any clients. Well, that doesn't make any sense, right? So they need clients. Also, many brokers, you'll find, set up their system so that, idiots come in, pop in $5,000, blow up the trading account and disappear. And in fact, what those brokers do is they B-book them and they never actually enter those interbanking enter those trades in the interbanking system, and it's a real mess, and it's not what you want to be involved with. Trader's Way actually enters your trades in the interbanking system, and that was proven during the Swiss National Bank debacle, where like FXCM went out of business in the United States, Alpari went out of business. Why? Why would they lose money on trades that were supposed to be in the interbanking system? So we know through Trader's Way, which was never in a struggle at that moment in time, it's because they actually entered the trades into the interbanking system. So that's really cool. But it would still be a problem to invest all this money into infrastructure and then clients come and go every few weeks because they blow up their trading account. And you're like, well, what's all this effort for? It's a lot of effort to run a brokerage firm, right? So wouldn't it be great if you could finally get a client? I mean, think of the acquisition cost of finding a new client. Now, if you want to be a solid business, you would retain those clients for as long as you possibly can, ideally for years and years and years and years and years. So that's where you're like, oh, the educated client is more likely to be the better client because they stick around, they become profitable, their lot size slowly grows as their account size grows, and in 5 or 10 years, wow, right? So think about that. For them to be successful, they're the type of people that identified that you should have the education and experience you need to have the skills and confidence required to be a successful foreign exchange trader. And they're like, Wayne, that's what we want you to do. Give that to them first. And now, out of loyalty and respect, you pay it back and you become a client. You choose tradersway.com because that's the kind of business partner you want in your successful Forex trading business. All right, so what's going on? What's going on? Back to the bottom here. Okay, back to the bottom. Just waiting. My new number is 19. We're right on there. We're right on the tickle trunk. Okay, is that going to be it? Buy it at 19, ride it up to 2,000. Emmanuel says, hey, what about the lockdown in the UK? How does that affect the pound? Well, is that good for economic activity or bad for economic activity? Okay. XO says lower, low, lower, high. So we got to measure some of this. What you want to look at is the change in slope from negative to positive. And to get that to happen, eventually what you'll need is some sort of higher high. Okay? So the first thing is not necessarily high of this peak here, but higher than that low. Okay? And ideally higher than one standard deviation from a mean. Then you get this, let's say maybe almost a retest. We'll put it there, and then up. Okay, that's what you're thinking if you're a bull. And of course, that doesn't exist yet. Okay? And by the way, then we get back up to here someday, and that's going to be a problem again. All right. Bears, on the other hand, are preparing to sell. Okay? That's that. Okay? That's it. Another way to identify the market is that. You see? So this is capturing an up to here, one standard deviation from a mean, back at resistance, and then back down again. Brian says it's a weird time. It's, well, weird, yeah, sure. Unusual. Okay? Sure. So there's a trend inside of a trend inside of a trend. Okay. And then add some more time to get some clarity. And what that does is kind of pull us back up into a bigger sideways range. This didn't break out as we wanted to. Remember, we had the higher high, bought the higher low, higher high, bought the higher low, got the higher high, maybe you bought the higher low, and then this is where we were challenged. Do you guys remember this when we were talking about it? I said this is absolutely, totally key. And that this double top would probably create, if it held, a lower low, which then it did do. And then, but I already had this drawn to say, because of this lower low off of the double top, that would produce a higher low, right? Do you guys remember all of that? We actually said if this holds, this right shoulder of a double top, it would likely create a lower low, and the lower low would likely create the higher low, and then the higher low would predict down or at least sideways inside of this range, right? Remember? And so it did do all that. So it's just very interesting. So I want you to think of it as the price action because we picked the top here, right? Lower low, lower high, lower low, which worked its way down to key support. Then higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, right? And then lower low, lower high, lower low. It's all price action. Now, all of it is without a reasonable trend, but you already know what created this upward move, and I said this consolidation in here might be meaningful. It might actually tell us something. What does it tell us something? What does it tell us? Think about it. Why did it go up? Because it was trending before, but not like that. Okay? You can see, for example, let's use the linear regression again. From here to here was pre-COVID. From here to here was post-COVID. Okay? I'm sure I can change this so it's about the same. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, right, you get this. What was the steepening? That was central banks devaluing their currencies in response to COVID. So now, if you measure what's been going on recently, okay, we'll do it this way. Not the same again. In fact, very significantly different. Not U.S. money supply, Mikey, no. The example I've given, I don't know, probably 3 times, was the Central Bank of India was one very obvious example of buying. And of course, Turkey should be doing this, but they're not. But I guess that wouldn't do much either. No, wait, Turkey, it's too late for Turkey for that. Because that would just devalue the lira even more. But what I was thinking was the central bank of Turkey should be buying foreign reserves. But they can't afford it. It's too late for that. So anyways. So right, the slopes matter is what I'm trying to show you, that there's a story here. Okay, this was normal, this is a resumption of normality, and then something dramatically changed, and then whatever that was is no more. Okay, and I'm not sure if you'd expect the up, but you know, here's one way of maybe thinking about it, and I don't know if it's the right way, but maybe this appeals to you. What if we extend this it's somewhere in here, right? I tried my best to keep that honest. We're back at sort of the correct price for this to resume back up, right? But I'm not sure if that's the right way of thinking about it. We might be thinking 18 is more the fair market value, but 19 might be enough for most people. $17. Okay. So that might be enough for a lot of people. What do you think? My comment on the central banking is central banks drove that price up. So will that demand still be there? Will those buyers still actually be there? We don't know. I don't know. By the way, is the sound a little bit better today than typical? How's the audio? Just trying to make some adjustments. Sabatine says, I think that gold is hard to trade right now. Well, no, you just buy it at 19. Just as good as usual, no difference though. But a little low, but it's maxed out. Let me try the opposite here. Okay, how about now? Is that any better? I'm not sure if what that little knob does. There is a knob, so I turn it, but I don't know what it is. Is it exactly the same? Yeah. Let's see if I can change. What is this? Microphone access. Well, that's not what I wanted. I'd like it to be better. I watched some of the. I mean, this is it's not a very expensive mic, but it is not a cheap mic. The mic is a couple $100. So I want it to sound really good. So let's see if I can adjust it somewhere else. No. Well, it looks like it's maxed everywhere I could possibly max it. Undo, adjust, no. Performance mode. I can't do that. Anyways. Mic is fine. Yeah, I wish it was awesome. Yeah, so anyways, I wish the sound was awesome. But anyways. All right, so there you go. Someone said it's hard or difficult to buy it here. I'm like, no, it's just the same. If you're buying it at a psych level, which makes a ton of sense to me. Okay, so it's not difficult because you're asking yourself, are you waiting for a breach of support before you buy, or are you waiting for a breach of resistance before you buy? Which one? Okay, because you might have it set up this way. Well, I guess if you're going to do that, you probably want to be higher than this dude. So you're looking at it more this way, I would say. Slightly different. Okay? That's all. It's not difficult because you're sitting here waiting. Right now, this is very obviously a bearish sell, but we got the psych level in the way, and that's what they're hesitating about. But there's no doubt that this is a swing low. Okay? Swing low. There's no doubt. Fibonacci, right? And then inside that, you got your price action of off the fib level you're going to have lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, all the way down, right? So that's pretty obviously there. So if that fails, then the bears failed, right? And that's the issue. So let's change this out, right? So let's add this so you can see it. Sometimes I forget to draw the fibs. I just see them, okay? I had to see them with my mind. So, right, what I mean by the swing, if we're going to use Fibonacci to measure the swing, a 50% predicts here, predicts this. Let's do it this way. No, I'll use my drawing tool. The 50% predicts right in here. I'd say 1850. Okay. That's what it says. So if you're a bull, you're going to hesitate where we are now. Maybe that's what you meant by difficult, but you're waiting as a bull, so it's not difficult. Bears are clearly doing this, okay? This is what bears are going to attempt, and they're trying to get it all the way down to 1850, and they're using price action. What I'm suggesting is if you're a bull and they fail to do that, instead make a higher high, higher low, that's informative. I'm not saying this will be bullish. You have to understand. You know what side you're on. So if you're a bear, this should be like pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward. If you're a bull, you're waiting. That's why I was saying, well, it's not that difficult. I mean, you're doing nothing, so can't be too difficult. Okay. So this is why. So I go back to the very first thing I said is look at that. But when I did that, I saw all that other stuff too. And as a bull, I'd rather have gold go up than down because I'd like to see demand increase. Then as a bull, I'd say, well, this could be interesting if this slope turns positive, right? This is what I said like 10 minutes ago. If this turns positive, that'll be a sign, right? Because it kicked off support and then a psych level held. And then we get a higher high, higher low, and I'm like, well, easy. Okay. My oh my, WTI. Okay, we've been playing this one as well. We need 40 to hold, and so far it has not. We discussed yesterday when we were kind of testing this area. We were actually testing the 40, I think, yesterday. And I said, well, I really want 40 to hold. Okay? And then I said the big but joke, if you remember that. I said, but, and that's a big but, 91.7 million barrels a day. However, that's a decline of 200,000 barrels. Million barrels per day. Barrels per day. You can look this up at the IEA website. The International Energy Administration, I think it is. So, which is the anti-OPEC. So anyways, what we're looking at is I want this to go up because I'm, right? And if you remember a month and a half ago, we went to the IEA and EA website and said, we need to use these resources to find or prove the increase in demand that we're hoping for. Okay? And we have not got that. In fact, we got the anti-confirm. We got the denial of the demand creation we're hoping for. Okay? Okay? And by the way, this really hurts like the ECB. Why does this hurt the ECB? Well, what is the ECB trying to do? They're spending billions of euros to do something. Yeah, they're trying to create inflation. The ECB is spending billions of euros per month to create inflation. Falling oil prices is deflationary. Okay? And the interesting thing is, like, if the ECB is spending 20 billion euros a month, let's say, I'll just make up a number, they probably buy that much in oil, and so therefore they just wasted all their money. Or it could be very worse. But what I'm doing is I'm waiting. Remember, I think it was yesterday's lecture, if you want to call it that, I said, these are the prices I'm interested in. Okay? 40, which is actually 139.667, but the other one is this one. So I'm okay with this, and I love to see this. Okay? So I could buy this move here, or I could wait for this move here. Okay? But we knew a month ago that this was one of my prices, 39. Okay? Okay? Because all we're doing is buying a dip off of this. This is my trade plan. Okay? We have talked about it before. I just want to reiterate. It's a follow-up to last month. It's a beautiful little step up. The only thing is, it's only a couple hundred pips, $2.5. So if I buy one contract, I'm only going to make $2,500. Okay. So I want to watch this. So, but somewhere between 39 and 39.50, I want to be long and strong. Well, it's all relative, right, Echo? It's just all relative. I mean, we're all trying to hit our monthly nut, right? It's all the same. I mean, think about it. I've owned a lot of small businesses. I used to have a lot of employees. It's an interesting scenario when you might be the boss and everyone might look at you being rich, but then you have 300 mouths to pay for. So I've run companies, like I'm thinking of one company where I grew it from 4 people to 300 and something people. No venture capitalist investing. We didn't waste money on advertising, but we're a reasonable, small business. But think of the monthly stress of keeping these people fed. Think of your monthly payroll. Think about the rent on the building. We had entire floors of people. And then I'm thinking of another company where it was 300 people, but then when I got involved, it was more like 50 people, and we grew it back to 300 people, and we had to move because then the company got bigger than it had been the year earlier. So then we had to move, and the expenses are incredible. So it's all relative. So Echo says only 2,500. Well, imagine like, what if you had to make $1 million a month just to break even, just to keep your employees fed and the rent fed, right? The landlord fed. Everyone gets fed except the boss. So it's all relative, right? You can make $1 million a month and be broke. Okay, so whatever. The thing is, you got to hit your numbers, right? Whatever your numbers are, right? It's all the same. All right. So this is how I'm looking at it, and I hope you appreciate these explanations. Okay? I'd like to see this hold. It doesn't mean it will hold. So I'm going to measure it in a way that a bull would look at it. And if it drops below, that is meaningful. Technically speaking, it's meaningful. Okay? And now I wait. Now if I'm long, I'm going to wait a while. Right? My first target is 44 and a half, $44.36. The thing is, this is not a September trade to me, it's an October trade to me. So I'm using October's target. And if you're new to the channel, yeah, I just said that. I'm analyzing next month already and adjusting my entries and targets based on my assumptions for October. So you heard that right. All right, what should I cover next? Do you guys want to do Bitcoin? What do you think of Bitcoin? Should we do Biddy next? Another great tool to analyze risk aggression. Sure, why not, huh? You're a little late. I'm already warned. I'm going to move chat over there. Just to somehow it's easier to see. Only 42 likes. It's kind of disappointing. Only 42 likes, huh? Hang on, I'm just moving things around to make it easier for me. All right, that's a little better. All right, bitty, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your moves just hypnotize me. And I just love your profitability. All right, so here we are. We're at a key price identified last week here. Trying to grab this. But we're definitely not in a risk-on mode. One thing that has happened is this predicts this, okay? And if it happens early, you get the counter trend. So a bull could be thinking this, and the counter trend gets you back towards, or at least to maybe-ish, the area of the central pivot. Okay? So this right here, this move here is almost, I mean, it comes up to your aggression, a counter trade. And this would, I don't really call this a target. It's more like when you're in this moment, you're thinking of a big pullback. Sometimes it doesn't quite get there. Sometimes it goes beyond. I don't have the stats on that. But the thing is, as a bear, you're thinking, ooh, man, as we get close to that 10,000 level, I should probably take my profit. Okay? That's a $1,000 move. Okay? So what is that percentage-wise? It's huge. It's really ridiculous. Percentage-wise, that's more than US dollar moves in an entire year. So anyways, does this give you the strength to take it up to 12? Mahir, which part, Mahir? I think you're asking something pretty good, but which one? I mean, is it late? The way that a counter trend starts, because remember, counter trend is non-trend. Okay? You see what I mean? So a counter trend is a form of sort of scalping and spot trading intraday mix. So if you were there, sure. So I think what you're saying is it late now? Well, you could base this to say we're here now, and we're going to be up here. Remember, that's what you're actually trying to do. And then we're going to be up here. Okay? That's your thought process. So you're like, okay, maybe you didn't buy the up, and that's an aggressive thing to do here anyways. But you're like, okay, this could be interesting because that would predict this, and then that would predict this. So that might be the string of pearls you're trying to put together. Like from an S1 double bottom. Well, I'm not looking at that as a double bottom. Yes, it's S1, but that's not what's important to me. Okay? What's important to me was this. Okay? This and this. So you have to look at that first and foremost, okay, Mahir? Because this is exactly the price a bear is supposed to sell. Exactly. That's exactly a bearish swing. Exactly, and at the exact moment you would expect it. How many people here can confirm that? How many people here have gone through the swing trading course and know this is absolute, totally factual? If you were a bear and you were a swing trader, that's the exact time and the exact price you would sell it. Can anyone confirm that? Not like roughly about right, but precisely, exactly. Yes. So, what's the next move? Where would they get out? Based on that knowledge, what are these guys thinking? What are these gals thinking? What are these traders thinking? If you know their entry, because you're a smart trader, because you're smart money, you know what's going through their mind. So the person that's sold there, you would say you expect them to get out at $10,132.73. That's what you expected at the top. That's why you're smart money. This focused you on that. Now we missed it by what? How much? It wasn't exactly correct. You're right. I'm sorry. Instead of 10,132, it was, looks like more like 10,050. 10,150. Let's see if I can add it this way. 56. So $20 on a $1,000 move. That's pretty reasonable accuracy, right? So, going back to this one here. The support is irrelevant to me. I don't even care. I mean, it makes sense that it's holding there because it's support. But it makes more sense that it's holding because I already identified it as support. It wasn't a pivot to me 2 weeks ago. You see what I mean? It didn't exist 2 weeks ago, except I already had it lined up. So this has more to do with my analysis than the pivot because I knew this number before the pivot existed. So the key here is if you are a counter trender, that's the basis. That's the strategy that you're deploying in these market conditions, most likely because you are more bullish than bearish. Then you catch this and you're like, well, it's kind of a Hail Mary, and you're going to throw it up this way, somewhere up there. Okay, it can wimp out at 10,500, but it might go higher. And that's all it is. It's kind of a Hail Mary. You're like, that way, go! Okay? So that's kind of that. But if we get there, there's some hope, right? I don't think there's a lot of hope. Like I wouldn't put too much thought on it because it just gets us up to some more serious resistance. And then we got some more here, right? And what I want to do is I want to be up here. But there's a lot of work to do first. Okay? We got to get through 11,000 before you can get to 12,000. But, okay, what is your plan for this? What's your big plan? Well, remember, this all started with a double bottom at 10,000. Do you think that's a psych level? You could have just bought it and been done. You understand that? So to somebody, it's probably just this. You look at your charts every 5 minutes. They look at their charts every 5 weeks. You're in panic mode and they're not even paying attention. Their stops at break even, they bought it at 10,000. They think it's going to go to 100,000. You're sweating the small stuff. Okay, well, Anthony Stone says, where do I think Bitcoin's going to be a year from now? Let me answer that. All right, according to research, we had a low in March because of COVID, and we rallied up 5 straight months to August in the stock market. Pa-chow, 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 pa-chow. 25 out of the last 26 times that has occurred, 365 days later, the stock market right? 365 days later, stocks are higher. Not always, but 25 out of the last 26 times. So where do I think Bitcoin's going to be a year later? Based on correlation of risk on? Higher. All you had to do is buy it at 10,000. Okay. Is that helpful information? How many people here knew that? The March to August rally is similar to 26 other situations that's occurred over the last 50 years. 25 of those times, the stock market was higher 1 year later. Jim knew it, Who else knew it? I know Jim knew it, and I know other people knew it. Just Jim. Jean-Guy, yeah. All right. Where did you learn this valuable information? Well, it wasn't here, right? It was off the charts with Wayne McDonald on Sunday. Was drinking a fabulous red wine, smoking a fabulous Monte Cristo. Oh my God. I actually finished that after our meeting, and oh my God, it was such a beautiful cigar. Yeah. But that, anyways, that's smart money, right? When you know things like that. So maybe you should subscribe and like and comment on this channel too. Okay? So I don't know where Bitcoin's going to be in a year from now, but that might be helpful information. Okay? Cool, right? All right, so there's some biddy. Hey Gary, is the island open to tourism again? No, Sean. Let's do some exotics. Okay. Look at this, just beautiful, huh? So I'm a seller of this. And let's see. In 7 days, I'll be seriously interested in entering a medium-term swing short. On, these things matter. How will it affect the market? It depends on what he says and how the market interprets what he says. Remember, we're not interested in the next Fed meeting. We're interested in the Fed meeting after the next Fed meeting. So anything that he says, but what has he already said? They're not going to raise interest rates for like 3 years. So what more do we need him to say? Is that right, Gary? I wonder what the restrictions are. So, dude, I pulled the trigger on a decision with the family. I guess it was on the weekend. I know it's Tuesday. It seems like a while ago. I think it was Friday. We were going to go to Mexico in this and stay in this redonkulous resort in a 2-story hotel room, right? With a little private pool, all that kind of stuff, just in our loft. And, you know, we tell the kids, oh, I can't remember the name of the resort. Let me see if I can find this for you. You should see it. Oh my God. Yeah, here it is. Let me pull up the link. All right, so we set this up, and I'm like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go here. We're going to spend a week here. in this hotel room. And I'm like, it's nice, kids. Check it out. Look, it's got a nice living room and a little dining room for the family. And it's got a nice deck. And it's got a nice kitchen so we can have breakfast without going into the resort. And, you know, there's multiple bedrooms. And they're like, oh, this is going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. And then we find out we have to go through quarantine. You're like, what? You have to go through quarantine. I'm like, what? They're like, quarantine. You got to go through quarantine. I wish you could see like the rest of the hotel is like sick. Anyways, where do they show it? Anyways, the resort's like ridiculous. Look at this. Yeah, baby. Yeah, that's what I want. Twins, Basil. Twins. Look at this place. Like, yeah, that's me. I want to go there. I want to go there. I want to go there. And I want to go there. Look at that. You think the kids are going to have fun? Anyway, so they're like, you got to go through quarantine. You're like, oh, we canceled it. We canceled it. Oh, and I'm like, I need a vacation. I haven't had a vacation in years. Oh, my God. Just like, yeah, Brian's like, yeah, no, I get it. $11,000 a night for a week is pretty significant. So I was pretty bummed out to actually like say yes, get all the family excited. And then like, oh, we should probably get some insurance. You never know. What if we get sick while we're down there? So we call the insurance company and they're like, and we're like, hi, insurance company. I'm like, hey, I want to take my whole family to Mexico. Can I get some insurance? And they're like, dumbass and what? I'm like, what? They're like, are you a dumbass or what? You can't go to Mexico. The COVID. I'm like, well, shit. So anyways, sucks, right? But hey, yeah. So St. Lucia's nice, right? Not allowed off the resort, yeah. Is that right? Sandals grand? Anyways. Right? Well, it's the issue is the being quarantined and all that, and then you might have a problem coming back. And then here's the thing: what if you get sick? Do you think you're going to have problems getting through customs? Like, oh my God! So we're just. But anyways, Mexico. So what you could do is set this up. Yeah, set this up. And this is what I'm thinking. 1 week from now, you ready? That's what I'm looking at, right? Yeah, Brian, that's what basically they said. Like, I had it all picked out too. I looked at on a cruise ship, they'll take you to Cuba. I'm like, oh man. And then like the cruise ship is canceled because of COVID. And I'm like, son of a. Oh, well, look, you can grab a plane and like fly to Cuba. So like I set it all up. I find out the price and all that kind of stuff and availability, and I go back to my wife. I'm like, hey, do you mind if I leave you and the kids in Mexico for a day and I go to Cuba by myself? And she looked at me and said, dumbass, and what? So anyways, it was a tough day for me. It was a tough day. Grumpy, your pivots start on Sunday/Monday, whenever the market opens for you. I'm not doing weekly, I'm doing monthly. Okay? So you can look at this in more simple terms. Okay? May, June, July, August, September, and I'm on October now. Okay? And I know some of you guys are on these trades. I know some of you are on. So I'm just setting up the next one. The cool thing is I have permission to do it now. Kick it off the daily 21. Kick it over here, baby pop. And let all the fly skimmers feel the beat. Drop. Cooling on the corner one fine sunny day, just me and my posse and MCA. Got a lot of beer, a lot of girls, and a lot of cursing. 22 automatic, all my person. Got my hands in my pocket, got my fingers on the trigger. Remember that? Huh? Remember that? Of course I do. That's not easy, E. No. Kendall says being on the West Coast sucks. No, I know the feeling, but you need to adjust your trading. So, for example, it's great because you can trade the London Open. And by London Open, usually your trade is in at 11 p.m. London Open is at 12 a.m. But for me, I found when I lived in Kitty Cali, right, I'd start trading at 10 p.m. and I'd go to bed at 10 a.m. Okay? Because I didn't know how to swing trade. So I had to work hard for my money. So then, I found the vast majority of my trades were in this 10:30 to 11:30 p.m. window. Okay? So if I got that right, let's say London, and that's yesterday, and then there's Asia, and then I would sell this, and very often, if I got it right, I got it very right. And I started calling this the trade of the day, because I didn't know it was swing trading. And then New York came in, and it was either a contraction or extension of what had happened before. Then this often was up in New York till about London close, and then New York afternoon to New York close, or the opposite. And so I realized, I realized that had to do with sort of London lunch, some profit taking, then it faded, and then the New Yorkers would come in and all that kind of stuff. So, and then I started figuring out different times of day when to do things, right? Right, like Sean's like, I live in Montreal and have to stay up to 3 a.m. Yeah, well, that's the issue. That's why I'm saying to the guy on the West Coast. But wherever you guys are, there's always somewhere better. You got to realize it's pretty cool. I think in Dubai, it's like 11 a.m. is when London opens. You're like, oh, you can wake up in the morning, you can do your analysis, you can have breakfast and get your coffee on and watch some news and read a newspaper, and then chow, you get your first trade of the day, right? But there's some downsides. You don't get New York is hard, Asia's difficult, right? But wherever you guys are, I suggest you start with swing trading. I know everyone starts with scalping, but I think it's critically important, especially in the beginning, that when we've talked about it before, you need cash flow to be successful to be rich, not to be rich, to be wealthy. So the first thing you need to do is turn your Forex trading into cash flow, right? But in the beginning, you suck. In the beginning, your stack is small. Now, if you can find a way to keep your Forex account alive for 10 years, you're creating a lot of flow, but you're saving it and it's getting bigger. The worst thing you could do is spend it, right? You can't be a drug dealer and use your own product, right? You make a lot of money being a drug dealer selling it to other people. So you should be a very good Forex trader, and every time you make a profitable trade, it's someone else's money. Do you understand that? Your new profit is someone else's money. So you make these trades and then you gather other people's money into your own account. So this is your product, this is your service. You're not allowed to spend it. You want to grow that so that someday it will produce a cash flow. I mean, it does produce a cash flow, just not for you. It's a business. It's like having 300 employees and you made $1 million last month. You can barely pay those employees, right? But that's what a business does. So it's going to pay for itself, but it ain't going to pay you. So what do you need to do? You have to have a second flow of cash. So you have to have a JOB. I know. Okay? So now you got two sources of cash flow. You can live off this JOB because in 10 years it's still going to be worthless. Okay? But you're growing your net worth on your Forex account. Okay? You got to grow. And then this gets too big, and then that's where you start funding other things like maybe real estate. Why? Because now, like, this is active, this is active, this is passive. So your Forex gets you off your job, your real estate will get you off of Forex. But you'll never totally walk away because it's so good. It's so good. So it starts feeding everything. It'll feed your philanthropy, right? Right? So anyways, okay, the reason I bring this up is because you have a job. I guess I should just do this. Because you have a job, you should learn how to swing trade. Because you can swing trade with a job because it's less reliant on time and more reliant on price. It's sort of price-based. Well, no, I should say it differently. I mean, yeah, it's price-based, but not price action. It's based on the market. You're trading the market. Okay? And we know the best time to trade is essentially 5 p.m. in New York time, so whatever that means to you, 5 p.m. every day. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you find out when that is, and most likely it's not when your job is happening. And you don't need necessarily to be at the London Open, right? If that's in the middle of the night to you, it's always going to be a challenge. So the first thing is, if you can learn how to swing trade, you can trade while you have a job. Because like I said, like next week, I'd like to be short at this, 121.50 level and be short for the entire month of October. Can you do that with a job? Yeah. Or if it's weekly, okay, now you go to like, let's say a 4-hour chart and let's adjust. Swing trading bearish, okay? Right? I'd like to see something like this. So let's see, right? This is the exact time you sold. It took you, I'm saying less than 15 minutes a week. And you knew exactly to be there at exactly this time. You knew to be there at exactly this time. You knew to be there to be exactly that time. You knew to, right? Exactly that time. Exactly that time. Okay? This one you had to front run it, right? Now you'll notice there's some volatility to this. And you're going to have stops placed properly. Okay? So if you can handle that, we're talking on a Sunday afternoon, you're probably not working. You're going to make a trade. It will take you 15 minutes or less, probably 5 minutes or less, depending if you get your proper setup. Okay? But let's say 1 hour a week. You already know you're a bear. You already know your strategy. And you can do this while you're at work. Or in fact, before you even go to work. Or you can go even smaller than that, and you can go to day trading. Now we got to go to, right? And we got to go further back. Okay? And now you're waiting for the right setup. It's not as consistent, but you know, here's your sell, here's your sell, here's your sell, here, oh! Okay? But notice that's the weekly setup. So now, right, you have to put your weekly with your dailies and your weeklies with your monthlies. So you start with the monthly point of view, then you start with your weekly point of view, and then you follow through with the day. So your weekly trade was likely this, and it moved really well. So you had to go 2 days without a decent trade on a daily point of view. But you can take this one. Remember, it occurred exactly at 5 p.m. New York time, which I told you is the time. And here's another one right at 5 p.m. This one, you didn't quite get the price you wanted. Here's the other one right at 5 p.m. Okay? This one you might have got knocked out because you have to have it above the R, right? And of course this changed everything. So now what I'm doing is I'm waiting for next week, next month to set up. You see? So now I can say, yep, 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 yep. Oh, got knocked out. Wait, yep, yep. Oh, not quite. Yep, yep. Oh, got knocked out. Waiting. And pretty soon, most likely as a day trader, I could say, not today, but maybe tomorrow is a yep, the day after is a yep, right? So out of like 5 trades a week, you're probably getting 2 to 3 day trades. But you're also getting the weekly and the monthly. So you're probably getting 3 out of the 4 weeklies. Let's say 2 out of the 4 weeklies. You got your monthly. So you probably got your monthly, plus these 2 swings. So, right? So now you add this up in pips, but you could do it in dollars. But this one would be worth like the same as 5 trades. And then, and these are each are worth the same as, well, combined they're worth the same as 5 trades. And then you're going to get in a week 2 more. So these are going to be like 8 trades worth a day trade. So 100 pips each or something. Okay? All while having a job. The job funds the Forex. Then when it's too big for you to have a job, then it funds your real estate. Okay? And you have to have multiple uncorrelated sources of cash. So if you have a professional job, many of you guys don't face being laid off. How many people were laid off in the Silicon Valley? Like nobody. Or they still had artificial intelligence engineers working at Apple, right? So if you had a profession, you have uncorrelated to the market unless, right? I mean, some people don't really have that, but some people do. Most people probably don't, but, right, if you have a profession, very often it's uncorrelated to the market. The stock market or the economy slows down, but you keep your job because whatever you do is always needed, right? A lawyer doesn't go out of business, right? I have a friend who's does actually better during bad times, which is kind of interesting. But then you have Forex, and Forex is uncorrelated to the market too because it's an absolute return fund. What is an absolute return fund? If the stock market falls, you make money. If the stock market rises, you make money. Okay? Now think of it, if you're a long-only equity hedge fund and the market falls, You're like, well, because of our strategy, instead of losing 30%, we only lost 10%. See how good we are? In Forex, you're like, F you, where's my money? Oh, well, the market's been down. F you, where's my money? You're supposed to make money in all market conditions, right? So then you move over to the next one and you get real estate. And even if the economy is bad, people need a place to live. Right? People need a place to live. Right? And even in a bad market, you should open up a liquor store. Right? Because when things are good, people buy expensive alcohol. And when things are bad, they buy cheap alcohol. One to celebrate, one to forget. Right? So like Sean says, swing trades are nice, but I still find you want to be up for the London and New York Open. Then you need to go to live.fxbootcamp.com when you're ready. Now, you got to go through the FX Bootcamp courses and stuff like that first. But yeah, when you drill down, so you have position trading, which is like portfolio management, right? Then you have swing trading, then you have day trading, and then you have market open trading, and then you have scalping, right? There's a lot to learn in this thing called Forex, but what I'm trying to show you is how Forex will fit in your life. Okay? If you don't have a lot of money in your Forex account, but you keep taking money out of your Forex account to spend it, you're depriving yourself. Your Forex account is not for spending. Okay? When you got a raise from your boss, how big was your raise? When your boss is like, man, you're working so hard, you're doing such a good job, I'd like to give you, what? $1.12 per hour raise, right? I'm gonna give you a 2% raise because you're doing great. Like you got to get away from that, right? And your Forex account can grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow very significantly, right? So you want to keep that growing until you earn more in Forex in a month than you do in your job a year. Pure mathematics is most people trade Forex for financial freedom. That's what I'm talking about. If you spend your Forex money, you will not achieve financial freedom. So what you want to do for the first 5 years or so, find another way to meet your modest needs and then stay modest. Right? Wealthy people understand the time value to money. So you can get nice shoes now, a nice car, a nice TV, and destroy your net worth. Okay? Because you're spending your money. What I've told you, and I won't do the big speech again, but we've done it a lot over the last year, right? The renters in your apartment building should be the one buying your Michael Jordans. The renters in your apartment building should be the one that pays for your Lamborghini lease. The renters in your apartment should be paying for your vacation. You need to own. You have to have a net worth, right? So how do you create value? Well, one way of measuring value is your net operating income, right, over what you'd call, let's say, a discount rate. And you create a value. So what this means is you need to buy something that has income. So you need to shift now from being a consumer, right? Shift from being a consumer. So we're breaking down GDP now. You need to shift from being a consumer to being an investor. Okay? Being a consumer is poor people. You don't want to be a consumer. Okay? You want to save all your money in your job to put in your Forex account, which is an investment. Then you need to grow your Forex account year after year after year without touching it. That's an opportunity cost. That's another investment. And then, right, so on and so forth, then you take that income and you can put it into other income. You keep investing into income. Okay? And that's where you get financial freedom. You have awesome skills with a giant Forex account. And you also have income from your assets, like real estate, for example. It could be bonds, it could be your stock portfolio. Okay? And I showed you how I take thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars every month and move it aside to an investment account that gets funded before the tax man. Right? It's amazing. Because I told you the other day, right? You can take $57,000 a year in the United States and invest it pre-tax. It's like you never earned it, and it goes into your retirement account before the tax man gives you the bill, which means it's tax-free until you spend it, but you're not going to spend it for 30 years. So every year, this is going to like triple, let's say. Every year, you're going to have $150,000 a year. Every year for like 20 to 30 years, depending on your age. And if it's 30 years, these early years are going to be like 450. It's crazy because it'll compound, right? The stock market, right? So just like right off the bat, this is a cash flow. I'm taking, what is it, 3,000 something a month. It goes immediately into the tax account instead of going to the tax. It goes into the investment account instead of paying the tax man. Think of it that way. So every month, $3,000, instead of going to taxes, goes into an account that I can trade and invest. Now, it's a retirement account, so I'm going to buy stocks and bonds and that kind of stuff, right? But imagine how much $60,000 a year can compound. So that's an investment. I didn't take the money and buy it. What could you buy with $3,000? I don't even know. What would you buy with $3,000? I don't know what you'd buy with $3,000. Anyways, instead of buying a toy for $3,000, I turned the $3,000 into $150,000. All right, $150,000 to maybe $300,000. And here's the thing: I do nothing. Well, I have to buy something. Now I have the cash in a tax-free trading account, but I hate cash. Cash is worthless. Cash is trash. It's garbage. I have to convert it. So typically, I'll take money and say, well, you want to expand your business, right? You want to expand your Forex. In this case, well, I'm going to take it and convert it into some shares of companies, or I'm going to convert it into a bond and lend it to a company that owes me money. Either way, my net worth goes up, and it compounds and compounds and compounds. See, it is a source of cash flow. My money makes me money. I put $60,000 aside. Honestly, by the time you're ready to retire, that $60,000 this year is worth $200,000. Now, it might take 15, 20 years, but think of it. Okay? So there's all these ways, right? So instead of like you spending $3,000 on, I don't know, again, I don't know what people buy with $3,000. But what you can do is maybe when you get to be profitable, or even better, when you're still losing money, you create a corporation. And now you own a corporation. So when you have a corporation, you can write off your losses against the taxes from your JOB. which is a source of cash flow. I don't know if you know that. You can't do that with stocks. But if you lose $30,000 in the Forex market in one business, you can write it off on the taxes you were going to pay on your JOB. Nice. You get a nice tax rebate maybe. Or when you're making money, it's fantastic the way you get taxed in America. But because you own a business, you can also set up a retirement account for yourself. Your company pays you money instead of the tax man. And right there, imagine, right? I mean, you got to be making a reasonable amount of money, but not huge money. But the thing is, you're paying yourself, and now you own this other cash flow. You keep doing this, right? You keep doing this, right? When do you enjoy your money? Here's the interesting thing, right? Especially if you're trying to change. Like if you come from a neighborhood and a family and a circumstance where there's never been money, and I know what that's like, then you have to deprive yourself and say, yeah, it's going to be closer to the end, the second half of your life where you start to enjoy the money, but also your children and your grandchildren will be significantly better off. You're changing the future. Okay? TOG is 3,000? Yeah, I used one, right? But anyways, so you're changing that future. But once you get to the point, so like think of it. My house makes a lot of money for me every month. My tax-free retirement account that my company has for me makes a lot of money for me every month. My wealth management team manages my overall personal retirement account, and they make me money. I own multiple businesses that have cash flows. And then, of course, I have my Forex account, which is the most golden business of all, because the tax treatment in America is fantastic. I write everything off. So like I said, the thousands and thousands of dollars of screens behind me, the U.S. government paid for that. I wrote it all off. It was money I was going to spend on taxes. I'm like, you know what? Instead of spending it on taxes, I think I'll spend it on some 4K screens. Okay? That kind of stuff. Write it off. And all of a sudden, it gets all the way down where you're only like paying 15% a year. We did it before, right? A poor person has a job and pays 40%. I might pay 15%. Right? But what's the big difference? One of them is that retirement account. Instead of paying $60,000 a year to the government, I pay myself. And I deprive my pleasure. So again, let's say I could pay myself the 60 grand tax free. What would I buy with it? A Beamer? I don't have a car. I bought my wife a Beamer. All right, so I buy myself a car. What's my car going to be worth 10 years from now? Zero. The 60,000 tax-free, growing compound in the market, it's going to be worth double. My 60 is now 120. But the thing is, I'm doing it every year. You're not buying a Beamer every year, right? You're like, after 10 years, I'm going to own a portfolio of 10 BMWs. What are they worth? Well, this one lost 90%. This one lost 80%. This one lost 70, 60, 50, 40, they all lost money. What if they were worth more every year? See what I mean? Well, 10 years ago, the 60 is now worth 120. The one from 9 years ago, the 60 is now worth 100. 8 years ago, the 60,000 is now worth 70. Or actually, it'd be worth more than that, right? So anyways, you get the numbers. All of a sudden, after 10 years, holy schnicker-schnocker. Real money, right? Also, I'm paying down my house. So in 10 years, I can sell it. And it made me money. It's cool, right? So that's what I'm trying to get you to think of, right? Right? That's what I want you to think of. No, in the United States, you pay taxes. Don't worry about that. You're going to pay taxes. The thing is, you can be smart about it, right? So what I'm trying to get you to think of is in the future, you want to keep your job as long as possible because it's guaranteed income. but it's a waste of time. That's the issue. So while you do that, you learn how to swing trade and position trade, and you spend your time on fundamentals. And so now you grow your Forex. And then you incorporate, right? And now you got yourself a retirement account, right? And then you buy real estate. Now, if you don't own your own house, maybe you buy your own house, right? You're like, Wayne, it'll be a long time before I can own an apartment building. Well, at least own your own house, maybe. Because my house goes up every month, right? My nephew was over here, this might have been a year ago, and we were talking about how hard he's working to make his money and all that kind of stuff. He didn't go to college. He had some problems in his life. So it was a rough start for him, right? And we're talking about how hard he works and how much money he makes. And he made some snide comment. I forget what it was. So I responded. I'm like, my house makes more than that every month, right? It's wild when you think about it. The house hasn't changed. It's same bricks, same yard, same windows, actually new windows, right? But it goes up in value. It's really crazy. It's really true. And there's a Jay-Z song, right? Where he's like, he bought a painting. I forget the song. Do you guys know this one? Jay-Z's like, I bought a painting for $1 million. A year later, it was $2 million. Now it's $6 million. And he says, I'm going to give that shit to my kids, right? So that when he's dead, they still own that piece of paper with the swirly marks, right? And they own it, and now it will be worth 20, and it's the same painting, right? And it's just like that. It's an interesting thought. The painting can make money. So, anyways, all of this eventually will lead you to your freedom. Okay? Because this will produce you money while you sleep. This will produce you money while you sleep. This will produce money. Now it'll take your time, but it produces big money, which funds all this other stuff. And then of course you get rid of this because that's guaranteed poverty. Unless you can IPO. If you get an IPO from your JOB, by all means. Okay. But most people are not in that situation. But you see what I mean? That's how you get there, guys. That's why you have to have the long game. Right? So I want you to get really serious about your Forex, but never spend the money. And then when you take all that money, you put it here into the retirement account, I'm not allowed to spend the money. Okay? Now, can you own real estate when you're too old to work? Yeah. Can you trade Forex when you're too old to work? Yeah. Does your retirement account still make you money while you're too old to work? Yeah. And then once you're able to work, once you're able to draw down on this retirement, then you got to pay your taxes. Okay. Meanwhile, you're paying taxes here, you're paying taxes there. Taxes, right, are fine. But you got to be a business. That's why I said you need to incorporate so that you can, like, just think about that, guys. I want you to really think about it. The money you put into the retirement account will most likely go up, I'm gonna guess, 300%. Do you have another business opportunity in front of you where you're certain that for every dollar that you put in, you get $3 out? How do you set up this tax? Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm sorry. How do you set that up? It's call up your tax attorney or accountant, I guess, and you want to set up a retirement account. I forget what you call it. It's not an IRA. What is it called? A SEP. I think it's look it up. I think it's a SEP account. I forget the name of it. Employer. I don't know. You have to Google it. I don't know. Talk to a tax attorney. Okay? Imagine now you own a business and you expect over time that for every dollar you put in, $3 comes out. If you had a business like that, you would put as much as you possibly could into it, right? Yeah, you can set it up entirely online. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. And so you'll notice that you'll do that. So that's through your business, and then your wealth management team will put you into other, IRAs and other vehicles that can be tax deferred or tax free, and then well, whatever. You should have a team of smart people strategizing. But I want you to think that way. That's all. Okay? I want you to think that way where you can get really, really, really big. And you might be thinking that Forex alone will do what it's. I think you may think Forex is enough. And it is enough because it's going to fund everything else. But if you spend your Forex money, you'll never make it. Okay? Now, as you grow your account, maybe you can spend your money. Like 10 years from now, your Forex account is huge and you're like, dude, I can spend this money. Not until you pay everything else first. Okay? So again, it's not quite $4,000, but let's say you have to put $4K a month into your retirement account. You're going to put probably $12K in taxes. I don't know what the headline number here. I'm just saying relative to this. And then I don't know what your number is, your X. But then from all of that, the amount you save in Forex should be, I would have to say triple the taxes. So let's see what I'm thinking here. 30, 40, 50, so 50K. So under these circumstances, you would have to grow your account by $50,000 first, save this, pay that, grow this, and then what's after that, maybe you could pay yourself. But if you can turn this into 66 and 36, I mean, you want to pay the business more than you want to pay yourself. So this isn't even working out right. Well, this is the total 50. So you might be living on 12K. And you're like, wait, I can't live on 12K. Then you need the JOB. Now, what job could you have after your Forex account grows, but this pays so little, it's a tiny amount of money, and this is making big money, but you still can't afford to take this out. You are funding your retirement account now. Okay, so you got that going for you. So now you got that cash flow. You got this cash flow. You got that flowing, but you can't spend it. But you don't have enough for real estate, for example. And you need more cash flow. What can you do so that you can quit your job but gain a cash flow, and ideally a cash flow more than the job you're giving up? Something that can give you time to focus on Forex and quit your job. What could you do, guys? Sean, while you're answering that, guy, think of it. Please answer the question. And while Sean asks a different question about one world currency and stuff like that, It doesn't make any sense. There's a reason why we have multiple currencies. So if anyone says, oh, well, we'll just have one unit of currency, they don't even understand economics. It's a complete failure. They don't understand. Okay, you want multiple currencies. Okay, you want strong versus weak. You want cheap versus expensive. Does anyone know? Is anyone going to answer, or did I lose internet? Should I? Okay, all right, you guys are there. What can I do to replace this cash flow with a new cash flow? Ideally, one that's greater than this one, but most importantly, gives you more time to focus on Forex. Thank you. You walk in and you say to your boss, take this job and shove it. And instead you open a new business and you trade other people's money. You're an opium trader. Because you've done this well enough that you can now charge 2% management fee plus 20% performance fee. Okay? And this cash flow together is more than you would have had at your JOB, except now you get to focus on Forex all day. So now you have cash flow, cash flow, cash flow, and over time this gets bigger. This will get bigger because you'll attract more investors, right? You can't increase the amount you're retiring here unless you have multiple businesses, and maybe you can do this business has a retirement account and this business has a retirement account. Okay? And then you got so much money, you start plowing it into real estate, and then you find out this is super stressful, and your real estate replaces your opium trading because that's stressful because there's people involved. It's active. It's hard work. It's stressful. You got this burden on your shoulder. You're trading people's retirement accounts and their money that can go to their children or money that could go in other deals. And they're relying on you to come through all the time. It doesn't matter if the market crashes or not. You can't even sleep. It's so much pressure. So you're like, you know what? I'm going to take all this money I'm making from trading other people's money, and you'd rather just plow it into some real estate that just quietly makes you money while you sleep. Because when you're trading other people's money, it's difficult to sleep. Because you care about them. You care about your clients. You know them. They're friends. They might even be family. Right? You care about these people. So it's very difficult to take everyone you know and everyone that trusted in you. Remember, very often they're investing into you, not into your track record of success. They're like, oh, I know you and I trust you. Here's my money. Please don't lose it. So now the people are just like, oh my God. So that builds up. Now you got 100 clients with all this money. And you're like, you got a couple of $1 million. You're like, oh my God, this is so stressful. Because you can never turn your back on the market, right? You know that. So eventually you're like, F this, man. I'm just going to buy an apartment building and pay someone to collect the rent for me. Because, when you own an apartment building, you just pay 10% of the net operating income to a management company. And when the toilet breaks in suite 3A, they call that company and they call the plumber. And they collect the rent. And when the guy doesn't pay the rent, they're the ones that kick him out. And as the owner, you own a piece of paper that says you are entitled to the cash flow and appreciation of this building over there at that address. And it's a piece of paper. And if the value goes up of the building over time, you make money. And if the rent goes up, you make money. You just collect rent because you're like, your name is on the title. Sure, you pay a management company and they make their money, but they do all the work, right? So all of a sudden now you're just like floating around on your boat. You're retired up the yin yang, so you got all this money in your company's retirement account. And then you got a whole bunch of money sitting in your personal retirement account. You'll have all this cash flow coming from your real estate because the renters have paid off the building. So now all the rent just comes to you. You could even just sell the building if you wanted to, but you should give it to your kids, I think. So now you're sitting there and you still love Forex and you're playing with your Forex on your boat. You're retired up the yin yang and your net worth is like huge. But it all starts with your JOB, guys. And your JOB keeps you from spending your Forex money. Stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term. I say it every day. Yeah, so Peter says that the regulation stuff. So, you know, I've spent as much as $200,000 in a year on regulation. Right? But also, Peter, you also know it takes money to meet people, to get them to invest in you. And I've spent a couple $100,000 just on that. So imagine now you own a small Forex fund. It's totally conceivable that your basic expenses are $500,000 a year. Just to be in business. It's a bitch, huh? So you got to do it right. You got to put things into perspective, not perspective, into a plan. Your job funds your Forex funds your next cash flow. Then that cash flow, and then over that time you'll have the track record, which then will allow you to replace the first cash flow, the JOB, into a better cash flow, which will grow over time. You will make more and more money faster and faster and faster than your boss was going to give you a raise, right? And doing that for another 10 years, you're still funding all these retirement accounts. You got your two cash flows. You're trading other people's money is what pays your mortgage, which, by the way, your mortgage makes you money. But you're still not touching your Forex account. Your Forex account's funding your retirement account. So your Forex account's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But your retirement account is maxed. You can only put in $57,000. So then what do? You find a fourth stream of cash flow, and that would be something that would have to be passive because you're so focused on Forex. So then you start investing in real estate. You see what I mean? And all of a sudden you have this huge portfolio, and by the time you're too old to work, your grandchildren will be filthy, stinking wealthy. Not filthy, stinking rich, because they won't have to work for money. You will have accumulated wealth, and now you can give your children and your grandchildren the assets that you own that will continue to produce income flow, cash flow, when you're dead. Okay? Now, Sean says, what about the euro, Wayne? It's a one continent currency, but isn't that one of the major problems? Right? Greece needed to devalue their currency, and Germany wouldn't let them. You see, Sean? That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's why you need multiple currencies. Okay? Greece and Germany are in incredibly different economies. And Greece needed to devalue, and they could not. So they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. That's why you need different currencies. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? And it's a problem in the United States too. If the economy in California slows down into a recession, the economy in Detroit is in absolute deep depression. They're not the same. And Wall Street might be making a ton of money. Cool. Hey, Alejandro. So yeah, we have the peso here setting up. There's tomorrow's trade. I'm waiting for a step down. Then we got next week's trade to set up next month's trade. So I'm thinking this is the monthly swing, and then somewhere in here is a weekly swing. And right now what I'd like to see on the daily is a dip and an up and then my daily down in the direction of the weekly, in the direction of the monthly. Okay? And I get asset appreciation, but I also get interest income. Okay? And that's what we call a carry trade. So sorry for the long diatribe, but did anyone actually enjoy it? Some of you are trying to put these business plans together. So I'm trying to show you how it can be done. Right on, guys. I know it's off topic a little bit, but not really. Okay. Here's another one. Should I be interested? Okay. The first thing you do is you take the support and you plan on it becoming resistance. And your general thought process is this. Well, I think, guys, I think a lot of people forget the business side of Forex. It's just simply a means out of their situation. And maybe this is you as well, particular, right? You're like, my situation sucks, and I need Forex to get out of that. In the short term, that is probably true. But what I'm also telling you is that if you're drawing down your trading account, you will never get where you actually want to go. You're just getting through what you need to do now. But wouldn't it be helpful if you had the big plan, the 25-year plan? It shapes the way you behave. Right on, Blue Boy. I appreciate that. So this is what I'm thinking. I don't know if it's going to happen, but that's what I'm thinking. Okay? Because I have a bias, I don't want to buy this. So my bias is I'd rather sell it, and I got to wait. And I understand it's risky, but I get compensated for that risk. Okay? I also want the interest income. Okay? Now it's tricky because we have this ginormous bullish candle. Okay? So I have to decide how long I want to hold this. And so looking at it from a weekly point of view, I need to make some decisions. Because it made the lower low, I feel a little happier. It's not a ginormous lower low, and that's also a good thing. If it's too big of a lower low, then you get profit taking. So I got to be careful because it just might be kicking off 16 and maybe we're on our way to 20 again. So I can't be dumb about it. Okay? I can't be dumb about it. So I have to see, is there a basis for this trade? Yeah, I think so. I might try. Okay? I'm not quite at the right price, although I might have missed it already. So I have to make some key decisions. Right now, my entry price is about $16.75, and we're at $16.66. So we're not that far away. So I don't know. I need to make a decision. Okay. Now, if I only traded this, like this was my specialty, I would have caught that 3A2 with my eyes closed. Okay, might be early, but it's a trade. Now, for that to work, I need risk on, which means I need Bitcoin to go up, I need gold to go up, I need demand to come back to the market for oil, that kind of stuff. By the way, look at that peso trade off of the profit taking. I mean, it's pretty interesting. Okay. Well, so Pip Streets, one reason I like to start with exotics and commodities is they'll tell you the overall direction of money flow now, but also if you see the elevated levels, then you're able to see potentially the future flow of cash, which would then lead you to your majors. Okay? So you have to understand the why part of the money, and then the other stuff kind of gets easier, right? So let's do, well, I guess euro. I only kind of want to. So anyways, we got to back up, and it's not the right direction for me in the moment. Okay, but what do we know? On the shorter run, well, actually, on the longer run, this is a sell pivot. On the shorter run, this is a sell pivot, and this is a sell pivot. Okay? Notice Sunday at 5 p.m. So, under these current market conditions, you would assume at 18 there'd be a new sell. So, I got to wait to get above 18. Okay? Because whoever sold here and sold here, they're going to sell here. So actually, what would be cool is if it did this for a while, right? But you'd have to assume the trend like that is going to continue. Now, instead of drawing it, it takes a lot of work and you have to keep adjusting it. So I just do this instead. Cool. So let's zoom in a little bit. Are these good conditions to buy? No. Done. That's it. Are these good conditions to buy? No. Nope. Right, so now Pips is look for short. Yeah. Right? Obviously, right? The trend in the trend. The cat in the cradle and the silver spoon. Hans says no trade for a long time. Well, we don't know that. Okay, we don't know that. So I wouldn't assume that. I would just say, well, I got to wait. What's the big deal, right? You're going to look at yen pairs now. And up will be risk on. So let's move these to hourly. Let's try to get a little sensitive. Not too sensitive, a little sensitive. Oh, and then I got to change the template. Hour. Let's change the templates here to Confluence. Because we want to start in research mode, not mode like you've already decided mode. We're trying to predict the future. All right. So I guess on a 4-hour, the projected low for Aussie yen for the month of September is, we'll just call it 75. So we're pretty close to buying. You're either going to buy it, well, this is 75, right? The other one is 74.94. So you're setting up a potential buys. Oops. You're setting up either this or maybe that, okay, inverse head and shoulders. But remember, that's October that you're planning. Absolutely, Salado. Pick up some pennies. Okay? So we're actually looking at October's trade here. Okay, great. What about this? The projected low for this currency is between 124 and 123. And that's where we are now. Okay? Now this is OOP, so it's supposed to hit this and then pop back up. So this one's going to be trickier. So you should recognize that, and maybe that's the last one you trade. Okay? Cool. Let's go here, turn it to a 4-hour. Projected low of the month is way down here. Why? It's 68.5. Okay? Kiwi went from weak to strong again. Maybe we overplanned on the likelihood of them cutting interest rates negative. So in October, bulls want to buy it around 69.5 to 69. Okay, so if you start to see this, it's your October swing. Okay, notice how it's better off than many, which is interesting because this was weak to us for a while. Okay, pound, put it to a 4-hour. Projected low, crazy, ridiculously, unbelievably bearish. So I'm sure you've been selling this like crazy. This actually in here is a little bit of a scary period. But remember, in the month of September, the target was not S2, it was S3. And we're even through that. But maybe that says enough is enough. I don't know. I think this is a fundamental play. Okay? So stay away from that one for now. And then kitty cat, the projected low for the month of September is the price we're on now. The projected low for the week is right here. So we got right a time frame double bottom, not a price double bottom. So now you would be thinking this for the month of October if you were already a bull. So obviously you need oil to go from 40 back towards 50 for that to happen. Okay? Okay? Of course, if it does this, you got to replan. Okay? So if CAD's going to go up, consumption of everything's going to go up. So CAD goes up, consumption of gold goes up, consumption of Bitcoin goes up, consumption of silver goes up, the stock market goes up, retail sales goes up. Okay? That kind of stuff. All right, I'm spent. That was quite a day. Thank you for spending, what, wasn't it 2 hours today? Probably not quite. Oh, 2 hours and 4 minutes. So could you please click the like button? I'd appreciate that. It simply tells YouTube that I'm doing a decent job. Thank you for being a client to Trader's Way. Thank you for being a subscriber of the Forex.Today YouTube community. There's also 4,000 videos associated with my work on the FX Bootcamp YouTube community. Thank you, Trader's Way. Thank you, traders. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you, Twitch. And I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.